And today features a hosted by Joe and commented by Hagar. Nightmares of Splotter's scream, the infernal temptations of the night. You would have to die then.
Developed by Now Production. Published by Namco.
Go back to the house.
Released in July 1992. For the Sega Genesis.
Only I can give you the power.
Following up SplatterHouse 1, and the possibly even better SplatterHouse 1 Paku Graffiti. If you haven't been able to tell by now, we're talking about SplatterHouse 2 tonight. So, as we get into it, here's your spoiler warning. Everything will be spoiled. The idea for this video is basically a long play, except with a voiceover of my thoughts about the game as we go. So, yeah, everything will be spoiled as I'm trying to show the entire game. So, instantly starting out, the game makes its gory nature known. Personally, I found this game more gory than SplatterHouse 1, and in an interesting note, this game released 2 years before the ESRB was founded. For non-Americans, this is our game rating board. It tells you if a game is alright for children and whatnot. So, I like to imagine the idea of a parent buying the new hit game for little Tim and not realizing this game instantly starts off with all the gore in 1992 you can get away with. Something I've really liked about the SplatterHouse series is the atmosphere of it all. It's rare for games from around this time to really have, like, the vibes. And SplatterHouse nails it. It's a very good boss intro, having the guys who've been trying to kill you easily scared by the big boss. Just adds to the tension. The boss itself is mostly fine, and this goes for every boss in the game, but they all have these strong patterns. It helps add a lot of depth to the fight. It's not your usual game where 50% of the bosses are just do as much damage as possible while avoiding shit you see. There's a little bit more to it, gotta learn the pattern. Oh, I love this game's vibes. Love this entire area. But since we're still early in the game, I want to make it very clear this footage of the game is very heavily edited. I often see people who didn't grow up with retro games surprised about how often they die playing these style of games. And I think only watching footage like this leaves out a huge chunk of the depth that retro games have. A huge chunk of playing retro games is figuring out the patterns. In your first time in a room, you're not going to know the pattern. You will get hit. And a lot of people will call this a bad thing. To me, personally, I like it a lot when well done. And SplatterHouse 2 does it extremely well. Once again, this is an unlimited continue game, so at most you're going back a few minutes max at game over, on top of having 4 hit points and 3 lives, so you gotta make 16 mistakes in a pattern before really being sent back a few minutes. And a lot of people will say, why at that point even send the player backwards? And I've seen people even say, why are lives even in video games? They've been a terrible thing all this time. However, I'm of the opinion that fuck it, it feels good to go back and clear a room with 0 mistakes. The better you do in a room, the more prepared you'll be for the next one. It's a very high personal satisfaction for me, and it's also a huge reward in the game. Anyways, we're on to the next section. I love that elevator though. These purple guys. Fun. Good scream noise. Nice little pattern of doing the little hop after attacking them, just good shit. On another ramble though, these spikes, you jump over them as you did the pits earlier in the game. Wikipedia and nearly every source online will tell you that this game is a beat 'em up. Think like Double Dragon, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, stuff like that. It's a genre that takes place side-scrolling, but allows the player to slightly walk up and down, have an early 3D perspective. SplatterHouse 2 doesn't do that. Beat-em-ups also tends to have waves of enemies that you have to kill before progressing. Full stop, scrolling the screen, kill all the guys, and progress style shit. SplatterHouse 2 doesn't do that. But you wanna know what SplatterHouse 2 does have in place of those things? Things you jump over. Maybe even call it platforming. Point is, I think SplatterHouse 1 and 2 are both action platformers like Castlevania, and marketing them as beat-em-ups turns players away who'd really like these games, as they just aren't beat-em-ups. Back on topic though, I really like the floating heads in the background, it's a good touch. So on to the boss of level 2. It's a very solid boss here, good pattern. I was playing like shit while recording this footage though. Look, the footage is only my second playthrough of the game, okay? Cut me some slack, but good boss.
This statue salvage is overpowering. I must continue upstream.
So, level 3. You can barely see it in this footage, but I love how the first enemy jumps into the puddle, showing the player that the puddles are deep and will hurt you. There's this idea about retro games that they're all insanely obtuse, and you gotta just know things. When in the majority of games, they make it very clear how they work. I'd almost go as far as to say that modern games tend to be more obtuse for the fact that games are just more complex nowadays. And it's a lot harder to stumble upon the correct thing to do in a game that uses 10 buttons, a D-pad, and 2 sticks, compared to retro games that use 4 buttons and a D-pad, and most of the time you're only using 2 of the buttons. I think this retro games being obtuse idea comes from 2 different things. One, people not reading manuals. It cannot be overstated how the manual is your tutorial. You might be fine to skip it, but if you're missing a mechanic, it's probably because you skipped the tutorial. And then 2, people tend to remember the games that stumped them for years as a kid a lot more than they remember the games they beat in a weekend. As such, nowadays, people talk a lot more about the obtuse, borderline worse made retro games compared to like the good ones. Also, fuck the fish in this level. They scare me. In a good way, they're fun. I never think I'm gonna react in time. Scary. Alright, it's boss time. So going back to this whole game coming out before the ESRB was a thing, this boss makes me laugh a lot. Like, yeah, sure, little Tim, here's this new game, and then little Tim's just cutting up a fetus with a chainsaw. It's good, it's good. Talking about the actual game design though, I do wish this boss was a bit longer. It's good, just level 3 was already a short one, and I would have liked to have seen this boss's pattern go on for longer, to see what they come up with. Like maybe that heart thing at the end, make it a phase 3, you know, really go off.
I see a building on the island. It's the house.
I love this penis-ass music chase song. Overall, I find SplatterHouse 2's OST to be very fitting of the moment. It's not music I'd listen to on its own, but in context, it works very well. Also, I like this section being a fast-paced auto-scroller a lot. It helps break up the pacing of the game, helps it not get stale. Honestly, one of my favorite parts of the game. Also, remember that guy chasing you, okay? Okay. This section has mechanics. It's fine. You got the ghosts up top that invert your controls, and on a ramble, like, are these inverted controls in video game mechanics meant to be, like, hard? I know so many games that do this inverting controls thing. It's like, haha, gotcha! And, like, I don't have any issues getting used to inverted controls on the fly. Like, it's fine. And this section also has another route that features, more zombies. So you can pick between some zombies and ghosts, or a lot of zombies. I wish the sections were more different. But okay, on to the boss. So it starts out fine, simple boss pattern, cool sprite design, and then the second phase? This guy took me a while to figure out. Honestly, it was only my second playthrough after multiple deaths that I actually figure out how to handle this guy. I tend to just sit in the corner and cry a little bit, but yeah, at this point I figured it out. You can see it in the footage. Cool. It was a good boss. I like my games more on the difficult side, and honestly I kinda wish more bosses were like this one where it took me a second. But yeah, fun boss.
Jennifer must be somewhere in there. I'll do whatever it takes to save her.
Also, just to make things clear, that's me doing all of the voice acting in the game. The only voice acting that's like actually in the game is when Jennifer screams, "Help me!" I figured I'd try and have some fun with, you know, the audio. I was like, what if I try and make myself sound spooky? It's been fun, but yeah, I wanted to clear that up. Anyways, y'all have had enough time to listen to this song. What the fuck is this? It's like the one song in the game that really doesn't work for me. It's just a mess, and the loop is so short, and... Anyways, the puking heads on the wall. I always find it funny, these, like, evil puddles in video games. Like, yeah, sure, me being impaled through the chest with a giant spike hurts just as bad as an evil puddle touching my toe. Yep. It's funny shit. I'm gonna be honest with you, I have nothing to say about this room other than, like, it's short. So let's talk about the game's controls, like, 15 minutes into this video. There's not much to it, honestly what you see is what you get for the most part. You have a nice attack range, very forgiving air movement, barely any physics to deal with, a floaty jump, and then you're also able to jump into a slide mechanic. That slide is a very strong move, good for taking out waves of enemies. I almost never use it. Wouldn't be shocked if you never see it in this footage. But yeah, the controls are stiff, but stuff responds very quickly, so it's nice, it works. I'm a fan. Oh hey, it's the purple guys, except flesh-colored and more aggressive. Neat. Also, remember that other section with the alt route? This one also has an alt route. The same alt route. Yeah, it uses the exact same route. It's the same room, same enemies if you take the other path. It's a strange choice. I wish this alt route was something new, but that's probably obvious. This level just keeps going and I don't know what to say about it. You punch the guy, so I'm just gonna ramble. This time about game reviews in general. There's so much of a focus on, like, is a game good or bad or what this and that, and it's like, who cares, you know? I'm of the opinion that a point of a video game is to push the player as much as possible while keeping the player still engaged. And every single person has a different tolerance for how much they're okay with being pushed. You know, the more you get pushed, but succeed through it, the more satisfaction you're gonna have. But also, if a game pushes the player too much, then they're gonna be like, this game sucks, and rage quit at it. And if a game doesn't push the player at all, then they're not really gonna get any satisfaction. And every single person has a different tolerance for this kind of stuff. So, yeah, there's my little ramble about game reviews and why I find the term good and bad games weird. Cause, like, 90% of games that have a terrible reputation are just, like, difficult games that the reviewer was clearly just not patient enough with, didn't have the endurance for, which, like, that's fine, that's fair, but, like, I always find it funny when people call games terrible because they're, like, difficult. Like, just get good, you know, or don't, but, like, accept that it's just not for you, you know? Meow. Okay, next section. Okay, so, this is the boss of level 5. It doesn't look like it, and I kind of love that. Like, this level feels like it'll go on forever. Like, I think this is the longest level in the game. It has 5 sections, most of the levels only have 3, and it really does just feel like it'll go on forever. And then this boss dies in, like, 1 hit when you actually reach it, so, you know, it's funny. Good boss, good change of pace. Puts panic in the player because, oh my god, they have to deal with such a long level, and it seems like this is not the boss, it seems like it's just gonna keep going. So, hell yeah, good section.
The secret to the gate must be in the diary. The mask can open a portal to the void.
So, strange level, but very welcome after how long the last level is. You start out in the boss fight. There's no proper level, just straight into the boss. It's a fine boss. It's short. Personally, I don't think it's enough to carry a full level. It doesn't have that strong pattern style shit that I love. You kinda just, you know, you don't get hit, you just punch the shit, you win. There's not much to it, you know? Like, that's not to say it's an easy boss, but, like, you know, there's not much to, like, figure out. It's fine.
As I step into the portal, the void pulls me in.
So, yep, we're into the next level, and we instantly start off with another memory section. A lot of people hate these. I really enjoyed this one. Punishment for dying is restarting literally in this section, and you only gotta remember 40 seconds of information. It's chill. It helps keep things fresh after the level 6 boss being all reaction time, and here it's all pattern. I love it. Good shit. Hell yeah. So yeah, it's another short level, we're onto the boss already. The whole final few levels in this game are just very short, it's a bit strange. But now, the boss, it has a very, very simple pattern, but it's different in vibe from the rest of the game. It's very chill, it doesn't really have the gore that most of the game has. You know, you just kind of punch the crystal, and it's like, ooh, I'm a crystal, and it's like, okay. Psych, phase 2's cool shit. Look at all the ghost face moving in the background, fuck yeah. And then you got the big ghost muscle guy in the background, it's very, very cool. Game design-wise, though, it's weird. The game scrolls to the left, so you gotta walk to the right. However, if you hit the wall on the right, your walking animation doesn't play. Like, you still move to the right, just the animation doesn't play. It's very strange. And then you can't hurt the boss? It's strange. I think you should be able to kick this man. You just kind of hide in the corner. It's weird. Also, hey, we got the girl.
The house is collapsing. Let's get out of here.
Final level of the game, let's go! We got the funny chaos music, the vibes are good, throw back to the elevator from earlier, fuck yeah, we're vibing. Also, I just want to give context, I know we're near the end of the game, but yeah, SplatterHouse 1 was fully designed for limited continues, this game's not, it's unlimited, and you know, shout out to that. Shout out to them making this one unlimited continues. I know I've mentioned that multiple times in this review, but like, that like really changes this entire game. Like, having to do sections like this, where you have to memorize the elevator in a limited continue game, if this was limited continues, you would have to memorize essentially the entire game in one go, but since this is unlimited continues, you only have to memorize like 40 seconds at a time, and you know, shout out to that. Anyways, we're on to the next section. Hey, remember that chase scene from earlier? Yeah, that boss wants you dead now. It fucking rules. Yeah. It's a very good boss fight. React quickly, jump over the low arrows, punch the high ones, and throw the arrows back at them. It's fun. There's a lot of nice timing stuff to it, of like when you're able to throw the arrows. It's also got a weird quirk though, that sometimes you can duck under the middle arrows and sometimes you can't. Though you can always jump over the middle arrows, so like it's chill. It is harder to jump over them though than ducking. But also, you know, something call it risk versus reward, you know? You can do the easy shit and duck under, but it might not work. Or you can do the hard shit and have it work 100% of the time. I like mechanics like that. I wish this game had more stuff like that, a little bit. Though I'm pretty sure that's just a weird coding error, honestly. But it's fun! So, hell yeah. I keep saying hell yeah. Yay! So I saved the girl and escaped from the house. What a good game. So there's another boss. Honestly, first impression of this boss is I like how the final boss in SplatterHouse 1 looks a lot better. It's a much bigger sprite with a lot more animation, where this one kind of just floats around. With that being said though, the game design is very nice here. It was very fun to try and figure out how to handle this pattern. There's a lot to it. Like, the first phase, it's pretty simple all in all, but you do gotta like figure out how many times you gotta punch like both heads and the timing of how to punch it on both sides. And then phase 2. Phase 2 is not as simple. Jumping between all those wolf heads and jumping in time to hit the boss is very tight timing. It's a hard thing to do, but it's very satisfying once you get it. It's a very good boss phase. I enjoy it very heavily. Yeah, this probably is like the hardest execution thing in the game, I'd say. I'd say so, yeah. And then, yeah, there's also a phase 3. This phase is just pure panic. You gotta land 1,000,000 hits, and if you don't land a hit fast enough, then the boss goes back to phase 2, and you gotta redo all of phase 2 again. It's cray, hide in the corner, find your opening. It's great, insanely good final fight, just all the chaos. It's fun shit. Very good, very, very good, I'd say. I enjoy this game a lot. But yeah, on with the ending cutscene.
The monstrous visage disappeared into the lake. And the terror mask has left me, as I was with Jennifer. But what if the mask? As long as that mask remains, you can have it again.
So, just to confirm, yeah, there is only one ending, and yeah, that's SplatterHouse 2, and my thoughts on basically everything in the game, as you all saw basically everything. It's a very good game, it's short, but very good. I have a good time playing it always. So, yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. This was a interesting video for me to make. When making the Master System video and the TurboGrafx CD video, I had a lot of people ask me to make smaller scale videos on like single game reviews, so I figured I'd try it out. It was interesting. I'm used to having pressure under me to like fully review and edit like at least a game a day to keep up with like the full system deep dives and just, you know, making any progress on those videos. And not really having any pressure on me for this video felt boring. I don't really know what word to use for it. I like the rush of it all, I guess. I like being like pressured to like keep going and keep pushing for the video. I like waking up every day and being like, oh god, we gotta edit shit, we gotta do shit, let's go, we got something to do and we gotta do it. And this video was just like, oh, we're chilling. Honestly, the main reason I made this video was because between the TurboGrafx CD deep dive and my next console deep dive, I just wanted to play a lot of like one-off games here and there instead of doing like a big deep dive. I figured I should like look at retro gaming as a whole for a bit before doing another deep dive. So that's what I've been doing, and I figured I'd make this video just as I was playing lots of random games and whatnot. Like I recently played Moon Crystal for the Famicom. What a good game. You should also play that. You should play this one, but also Moon Crystal. What a good game. Yeah. What other thoughts do I have on this? I feel like I really struggled to think of things to say a lot of the time. I hope I did alright. Hopefully you like it. Yeah, this is my first time fully scripting a video, where the Master System video was about 15% scripted, the TurboGrafx CD video was about 90, and this one's 100, so yeah, new experience, that's neat. And yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna make another review on a single game like this. It was kinda nice to have something to do while playing like just a lot of one-off games here and there, you know, instead of working on a big deep dive. Just a nice change of pace, honestly. But yeah, I don't know how to end this video. Play SplatterHouse 2. Bye.